So this is our podcast 11, question and answers from all of our wonderful listeners. And the first question we had is, why does email on my computer lock me out all the time? Well, that's a very good question. Probably what you're dealing with there is you're probably dealing with a situation where your email either email is polling and it's using the wrong password, or possibly if you're using the email on your computer and you're only getting locked out periodically. It could be your phone is polling um, with the wrong password. I've seen that happen quite often. Then a lot of times, if you change your password on your computer, you should go and just change it on your phone. I know a lot of people say you don't have to, but you should do it anyway. I notice a lot of people um, get lockouts a lot less when they do that. The other question we have is there any way to get a DNS entry with a dynamic IP for my IP camera system at home? Well, if you're in, out of state and you're trying to view your house that's in another state, yeah, you're right. Without a static IP, it is going to be difficult. What I have done for people and what I do recommend to people do is go ahead and get a cheap laptop. And what I would recommend is um, go ahead and install a client for no-ip.org, and you can go to there, and that laptop, as long as if it's a laptop or a machine with a battery backup, as long as you don't lose power for an extended time, that laptop will always update the IP address for you back at no-ip. So you can go to noip.org and or .com and actually get your IP address and then put it into your browser and view the cameras. That's probably going to be one of the only things you can do. Or the other thing you could do is get the MAC address on the modem and just have to call the cable company or the DSL company every time you want to look at your cameras. But with the no IP thing, that's something I've done. Like I said, also call your ISP. That's another option you could do. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot you can do with that. Usually, see, years ago DSL used to be static, but they don't give out static IPs anymore. Not a lot of DSLs are dynamic, which is pretty much almost like cable. So yeah, that's really the only way you're going to get around that without getting a static IP. And usually you got to be a commercial account and then more money. Why does my YouTube buffer so much? Well, YouTube buffers so this way there's no break in the video. Now, if the video is going fast and YouTube can buffer, you see this a lot on like Verizon and AT&T. The sticks that you put in to get on the internet. What I would recommend if you don't want it to buffer, you just want to watch it straight through. There's a little bar that goes on before the spot where it tells you where in your video. Let that get all the way to the end, and then you could play the video without interruption. That's going to be the only thing you could really do, or get a faster internet connection. There's not going to be a whole heck of a lot else you can do as far as that goes. The next question we have is, what is the difference between Netflix and Hulu? Well, there's a couple differences. Hulu is, both of them are streaming services, by the way. You stream over the internet. You just get the content via streaming. Netflix is more movies and TV shows. But the difference is that Netflix doesn't give you advertisements. Hulu does. Even on the paid version now, by the way, they give you Hulu advertisements. So what I would recommend for you is go, since you're dealing. What I recommend is, Hulu has, I feel, more TV shows and more up-to-date TV shows. TV show airs within a week. Hulu has it. Netflix doesn't do that. They get seasons at a time of shows. So if you're interested in watching TV, get a Hulu account. If you're interested in seeing old shows or maybe shows from last season, I would go with Netflix. The next question we have. This is really more of a tech question. Enterprise tech, and we don't get too many of these. So, my company wants to buy a cheap SAN. SAN is Storage Area Network, by the way. What do you recommend? Well, FreeNAS has a way a software you can actually put on something um, a a SAN that you create. If you wanted to build a server with a disk array or something, you could put their software on it. It would act as an open source type of SAN. Now, that's an option. I know a lot of companies that have actually used that. I believe Rackspace uses it. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that they use that software. HP makes a cheap, inaffordable SAN. Um, you know, I think EVAs seem to have a really, really good reputation, so I'd recommend that. That's an option you could do. There are some other companies out there that do make SANs, but what I found is you really got to watch when you're dealing with SANs, because you're dealing with data, so you want to make sure you get something reliable, something with good support. That's obviously a big issue that a lot of people don't understand. You know, especially HP supporting their SANs, they're known for that. They actually, if you have a warranty, they actually set up like an SMTP server, and what'll happen is if a part goes dead, boom, the guy's there the next day with the part. And SANs are really designed to never go down. They're incredible. I mean, the thing is built for redundancy. They even have SANs out there you can buy with like an 8-day battery. So say you lose power in your data center, your SAN is still on for like 8 days. They're really, really built for redundancy. Also, too, when asking that question, you have to ask too: are you looking at fiber channel, or are you looking at Ethernet? You know, that's going to make a big difference in the price. Obviously, fiber channel being more, because fiber obviously is more expensive. Um, you know, Dell Equalogics, they're running about 17 grand. Like I said, the HP storage, the G2s, the fiber channels, they're going to run about 13,000, somewhere in there. You know, Data Core makes a decent one for about 9-10 grand. So really, you really depend on what you're trying to do with it. But that's what I would recommend. I really like the HP one because I like the support that I've gotten with them from companies I've worked with. How could I get Internet Explorer on my Android phone? Yeah, that's. Geez, the only thing I recommend for that is if you install maybe go to my PC, or use like a remote desktop remote to your Windows machine and use Internet Explorer. I mean, there is programs out there that simulate Internet Explorer, but I don't think it's going to work that well. Yeah, that's a toughie. Yeah, I mean, I know there are. I mean, there are some programs you can download that'll simulate IE on the Droid, but I've never had much luck with them. Just like with Firefox, there was a program that you could called IE emulator, but it would work on like one in 5 sites. Yeah, I don't know what to really tell you with that. Besides remoting to a Windows machine, that's really hard, especially if you need Internet Explorer and anything, whether it be Linux. They have an IE for Linux, but they don't have an IE for the Android or for the iPhone. Yeah, there's not much you're gonna be able to do on that. My daughter broke the hinge on her laptop. What can I do to fix it? Well, I don't know how tech savvy you are, but what I would recommend, if you're good, this is kind of a hardware question. If you're good at taking it apart, you might be able to either check to see if the screws ripped out of the base of the laptop. You might have to buy a new base to the laptop, which is, changing that's not an easy task, but you could do that. The other thing which you could do, what I've done in the past with people with broken hinges, is take it apart and then you crazy glue the screws back into the hole. Not the greatest fix, but it's cheaper than buying a base if you don't mind messing or tinkering a little bit. The other thing you could do as well is make sure you get a longer screw, and usually one of the screws that are on the far left and on the far right, you can screw it in a little bit deeper and grab, you can kind of like rethread it, kind of grab that's an idea too. If you send me a picture, I might be able to help you out. Let's see. How do I set up my Twitter to post to Facebook? Oh, that's easy. What you could do is if you go into your Twitter setting, if you go into Twitter, towards the bottom, if you go into your settings section, you'll see allow my Twitter to post to Facebook. You have to put in your Facebook credentials and it'll post all your Twitters to your Facebooks. A lot of people do that, so you don't have to post in 2 places. What's better to use my Twitter account to sign into Pinterest or my user or create a user account? You know, it really all depends. You know, obviously, if your Twitter account gets hacked, they can get into your Pinterest account, you know, or they can get any of your accounts that you signed into with Twitter. But you know, I like it for ease of use. You know, you don't have to remember tons of passwords. You know, you just click sign up with Twitter, checks your Twitter credentials, and lets you in. I personally love the service. I use it. I mean, I think besides a very minimal security concern if somebody ever hacks your Twitter, I don't think there's any reason why not to use your Twitter account. That's what I would do. This question we actually got, or just not long ago. I guess somebody noticed our new IRC chat. Um, Question is, how do I encrypt IRC traffic? Well, that was the first. They have two questions. Actually, it's a double header here. How do I encrypt IRC traffic? There is a setting in like XChat or in iChat. You could actually go through in the preferences. It says what would you like to do, and just check encrypt traffic and hit OK. The problem with encrypting IRC traffic, though, is if you're going to encrypt the traffic, um, just because your traffic's encrypted doesn't mean the people you're chatting with on the chat room is encrypted. So that's kind of an issue. I mean, IRC traffic will obviously, you know, encrypt your traffic so nobody can read it. If you know, but once it gets to that person, you know, the person that's replying, you know, theirs is unencrypted. Your encryption is pretty much pointless. The only thing I could suggest, yeah, it's not really much you're going to do. You know, when it comes to that, was everybody in the room. I mean, you could go. The IRC does have chat rooms that are you know where you have to encrypt to get in. That's an option. But IRC, yeah, there's not really. I mean, that's how you could do it. But I really have to recommend if you want really concerned about encryption, if really concerned about encryption, you have to go into a room that requires it. What is the most secure chat to use? Well, I mean, chat wise, I mean, obviously Google Chat, Facebook Chat, they're pretty safe. If you want to just use a chat client, Tiny Chat's not too bad. Um, you know, there are a lot of them that do require security. Like I know, you know, like there's so many different ones out there that require security nowadays. It really all depends on where your friends are. I mean, like I said, you know, Skype, you know, Tiny Chat's pretty good if you just want to use a chat client. You know, Facebook's encrypted, GChat's encrypted. You know, there's so many of them that are encrypted that it really depends. Just you know, really depends on where your friends are and where you want to talk to. Um, how can I get YouTube on my Roku? So you bought a Roku. Well, thank you very much for purchasing that. Your purchase Roku will obviously help support the site, so we thank you for that. Thetechnologygeek.org, by the way. Um, the only thing I can recommend is you have to use Plex. They're a service. This is Roku. When I first started Roku quite a few years ago, they had a YouTube channel. They don't anymore. I don't know why I got pulled, but you can use Plex. That'll let you view you know, YouTube videos. If they're music videos, you could use Vivo. They have a channel on there now, and that's what I use to watch all my music videos. Is just watch them through Vivo. So that's an option you could do. Um, uh, how can I do a live show on YouTube? You can't. I mean, I think what I recommend is like what we're doing right now, using UStream for our show. By the way, you can get our show on UStream on the Technology Geek site. I don't know if we are doing a live broadcast right now, but that's an option you could do. And then you send it over to YouTube, but it'll be recorded. Yeah, the only way you're going to really be able to do a live show is using UStream. And then after that, you can upload the recorded show to YouTube, which is what we do. Then the last question we have: how can I access saved passwords in Firefox? Well, that's a lot of security questions this week. A lot of enterprise security questions. It's kind of neat. Um, there's a huge problem with Firefox. If you go into Firefox options and security, click on saved passwords and show passwords, it hashes your passwords in clear text. There's no real challenge there. So like I said, I would go ahead and just do it that way. You can get all your old passwords. I know what you're trying to do. You probably forgot a password to a website, and you're trying to go ahead and you're trying to find, you know, you're trying to find, you know, what your old password is. So like I said, I just go. Firefox is, I mean, it does that natively, so just go ahead in there and you can go ahead and get all your passwords for all your old sites. That's actually a very huge security flaw, and I'm actually very surprised that it hasn't been I'm really surprised it hasn't been patched yet, because that's a huge security vulnerability. I want to thank everybody for listening to our podcast. Again, you can find all of our podcasts on our iTunes channel, as well as on our website, thetechnologygeek.org. And again, you can get all of our shows right on our website at thetechnologygeek.org. And don't forget our store, aacrstore.com, for all of our store. You buy something to help support the site, so we do appreciate that. And we want to thank everybody for listening, and we will talk to you again next week.